quiet road stops at the water's edge on the eastern end of Michigan's Upper Peninsula. A 2-minute ferry ride across the Rock Cut puts you on a 21 square mile island where about 64 people call home. When we arrived at this little known ferry terminal, the crew was still at home. The last ferry was less than 2 hours ago, and there was little reason to stay at the dock. We arrived on Neebish Island late in the day. The roads were quiet. Connie said there'd be plenty of room at her camp, the only campground on the island, the Neebish Island Resort. We set up camp that night and awoke the next morning to the brassy call of a pair of sandhill cranes. Poppins had organized a tour with Lori, an islander with the Neebish Island Historical Society. We had a couple of hours before Lori would arrive, so we relaxed over breakfast, shared it with Duke, aka Sugar Bear, and we eventually broke camp. The first friend we made on Neebish Island. So we arrived last night at the Neebish Island Resort and Campground. Poppins is doing some things. I'm doing some things. We're gonna pop this down because we have an opportunity to tour the island with an islander, year-round islander. So we'll get back to you. The resort offers 9 cabin rentals, tent space, camper spots, and the only current store on the island, where Connie piles ice cream precariously high on the cone. Poppins is always ensuring that she's always inspecting things to make sure. What are you guys doing? We still had some time, so we explored the camp's waterfront, dock space, and wildlife.
This is where the sawmill also was.
So the quarter boat was basically like a barracks boat. They would just, nice. So they would stay on the boat here and then go do work throughout the, okay.
All around. And this is where all the fur trade happened 2 years ago.
We started our tour on Little Neebish Island, sometimes referred to as Rains Island. Residents of Little Neebish claim the distinction of the oldest settled part of Neebish Island. When the fur trade was established, the east side of the island was navigable water, while the west side, called the Rock Cut, was still rapids. Lori not only showed us the sights, but introduced us to some pretty interesting people. Women play and played an important role on the island. As Poppins pondered, remote islands seem to allow for an individual to live unhindered by social norms. We concluded that may be why island women lived independent and accomplished lives. One thing was clear about the island: it has generations of family, and the islanders form a deep connection with it. As the tagline for Connie's campground says, where traditions begin. So this is the spot you come to when your power goes out to call the electric company.
Exactly. Yep.
Lori and her husband Ed actually take it upon themselves to mow and trim the Catholic cemetery on the island, which is next to their property. Long forgotten by the church, she recently contacted them to get information, but they didn't know about it, and she is helping to resolve the record keeping. Then we returned to camp after our tour, and I kept eyeing this old tug that was in the weeds down by the shore, and of course I had to take a look. The story that was shared with me about this boat is that a local purchased it to rehab as a land-bound vacation rental. It was towed over to the island and pulled on land, but unfortunately he died shortly after starting, and the salvage tug remains in limbo. They had her all planned out. Got a waspy in here. Looks like they had some plans. Yeah, there's a wasp nest in here. The next day we stopped by the old ferry, now in private hands, but still shown on nautical charts. We utilized the sports complex and playground equipment at the community center, which also houses the fire department. And we checked out Sid's Corner, where a well-known islander would have gatherings full of music and fun. Where are we going, Poppins?
We're gonna get ice cream, but I want my camera.
We returned to camp for some ice cream and to relax before we launched the Zodiac. Connie's Camp Store is the only store on the island, and I think everyone stops by for ice cream. The Neebish Island fudge.
Yes, may I also have Neebish Island fudge? Do you want it in a bowl or do you want it?
cone for me, please.
A cone also, please.
And of course, as I prepared lunch, Sugar Bear was always vigilant with kitchen inspections. We also stopped at the curiously unattended lemonade stand. Poppins and I are currently on a circumnavigation or partial circumnavigation of Neebish Island. So we're on the east side, little Neebish Island here. Shipping channel, and that's Canada. One of the curiosities of Neebish Island is something caused by freighters. I first experienced this a couple decades ago while camping on the northern end. The narrow and shallow channels around Neebish Island are a perfect environment for something called wave wash or freighter wash. While ships can generate large waves, those waves can be greatly amplified in the channels around Neebish. So this is what's called the old government ore dock, I believe. And that there is a shipping channel out there where the freighters come by. So the water drains down as a freighter comes nearby. You can see it draining down really quick because this behemoth is going by. So let's see if Thor is safe. Look at that, Mark.
Oh, wow. Holy cow.
Thor is on the bottom. He's waving.
Where are they waving at?
Right at the top under Jam. No, he just waved at you. There's a guy standing out there. When calm water drains so quickly from shore, it should always be a warning, because it's going to return quickly, and in the case of wave wash, the returning water also includes more water volume from downriver. It's pretty exciting and unexpected.
That's exceptional.
Our last task on the island was to find the defunct canoe camp of Poppin's relative, deep in the remoteness. We're about to take South Canoe Camp right of way. And the canoe camp's very important in this story that we're telling because, why is that, Poppins?
It's my uncle's brother, my uncle and his brother Cliff. So Steve and Cliff Borbas started their own adventure camp in the early 60s. And they took lots of kids on lots of adventures, including my Turnbull cousins.
Shall we?
Yes.
So, it's about a mile down this right away. We could have easily taken the Jeep down the trail, but there was a gate and we're visitors to the island, so we opted to hike back to the camp. We're going to take our mile or so walk into the mosquitoes. Had some windstorms over the past couple weeks, and it looks like power line was taken out over here by the tree that fell over. So one of my ancient rules from experience is when I go out to the woods, even if it's a mile in, I always bring my backpack. But I forgot it at home. But I brought an iPad, so we're good, right?
Right.
Yeah, iPad will solve anything for us. We'll just YouTube what our problems are, even though we don't have signal. Remote homestead problems. Trees falling on your, I don't know if that's cable, because the power would be up top. Yeah. Well, it's been 3 hours, and we're still alive. So we made it about a mile in. Jesus. Frickin' freighters and their horns here are loud.
I love it.
Because they're like, you know, half a mile away. Anyways, we found a building here, so we're gonna go check it out. It's definitely abandoned. So yeah, it's definitely a summer camp style cabin with a screen all the way around it for a window. Let's see if we can pick our way through the mud.
The camp ran from the early 60s to the early 90s.
So abandoned in the 90s?
Yep.
Look at the toilet paper holder. It's a nail sticking out. So we're at a family reunion, and on Marty's side, and this guy Cliff asks us, you know, where you guys going? And we said Neebish Island. He's like, well, really, Neebish Island? Why did you pick it? We're like, I don't know, it's kind of remote, blah blah blah. It turns out he used to have an adventure camp here, a canoe camp, where he used to take kids out for grand adventures. So here we are looking for Cliff. Cliff, we haven't had any luck yet. It's about 30 years of decay. Looks like the big tree just missed it during the windstorms that we recently had. Whole bunch of mattresses in here. So we still really haven't found Cliff. Some fresh cutting up here. Somebody's been cutting wood. The swinging bachelor pad. Well, we cut through the woods and at the cabins, and then we found this trail. I think we're on to something. Wandering around the woods like a couple weirdos. Well, this one's kind of the fancy one. So it does look like we made it to the main camp. We got one falling in over here. And this one, I don't know, this one reminds me of the aid station, but might just be a cabin. Either there's a light on there or they have a skylight or something. There's firewood outside. Cliff, you home?
Cliff?
Hey everybody, this is Cliff. He used to run the camp here back from the 66 to 1990?
93.
93. And he put thousands of kids through rigorous torture in mosquitoes.
I'm not sure, maybe hundreds.
Hundreds? Okay.
Hundreds.
Yes.
All right.
Made them
All right.
stronger people.
This was a very rustic camp, you know. Kids
Definitely.
went on, you know, backpacking, canoeing, bicycle trips, sailing trips.
All the way to the Moose River and further, right? You've been to the Moose River, I think, up on James Bay?
In Canada?
That was one of the trips, yeah.
That's a crazy trip. And so he's going to give us a tour around. So thanks, Cliff. It's very nice to meet you again. I met him at a family reunion for the first time 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Last week.
Was it last week?
A week and a half. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
A
Yeah.
week from today. We can go today.
I'm losing my mind, so thank you very much. We spent about a half hour touring the remains of the camp. Cliff had spent almost 30 years organizing the camp while working a full-time job. Today he travels back to the island by boat to spend a few weekends in solitude. We spent our time talking about his retirement. He hopes to travel to the Southwest and the Caribbean to tent camp and to study the Anasazi culture, a favorite subject of mine. I regret that we didn't have more time to chat, but I always do. I didn't bring a gift of whiskey, and we felt like we might be interrupting some solitude, so we took our leave. And have fun in the Virgin Islands. I think that's where you should go in the Southwest.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, have fun.
Take care, Cliff. So that was our meeting with Cliff. Interesting guy. Comes to his camp that he closed up 20-some years ago. 30-some years ago.
Yep.
Almost. And comes back and just relaxes. Guy's name's Bauman. He's riding a 50-year-old three-wheeler that looks like it came off the showroom 2 years ago, 1970. He said it came with the place, but he's just out riding around checking out the trail because the cable was done. He goes, I better get out of here before you guys lock the gate. And I'm like, we have no idea who unlocked it. So the people you meet in the backwoods of an island, yeah, he's a great guy. So how do you think it went, Poppins?
It was magical. It was really fun to meet the people on the island.
A lot of people, many generations
Yeah.
hanging out here.
5 generations
Yeah.
on the same land.
Well, I'm the Viking.
This is Poppins.
Channel's Restless Viking. If you haven't subscribed yet, come on, go ahead and do that.